This episode of Techno Buffalo is brought to you by GoDaddy. What's going on, guys? I'm Mark Linsanger from Techno Buffalo, and today we'll be comparing these two tablets, the iPad Air 2 and the Nexus 9, both which we reviewed recently, and see which tablet comes out on top. So before we get started with this comparison video, make sure to check out our full review, which we will link down below this video, to get more of an in-depth look at both of these tablets. Now, to get hardware and specs out of the way real quick, the iPad Air 2 features a 9.7-inch display with a resolution of 2048 by 1536 with a pixel density of 264 ppi. It's rocking Apple's newest A8X chip with 2 GB of RAM, Touch ID. It comes in either 16, 64, or 128 GB of non-expandable storage, a 7,340 mAh battery, an 8-megapixel camera in the back that can film in 1080p and slow motion 720p, a 1.2 megapixel front-facing camera. It's running iOS 8 and it's going for $499 up to $699 for the Wi-Fi only models, while the Wi-Fi plus cellular model starts at just $629 up to $829. It comes in space gray, gold, and silver. The Nexus 9, on the other hand, features an 8.9-inch display with a resolution of 2048 by 1536 with a pixel density of 281 ppi. It has HTC's famous boom sound speakers on the front, which sounds amazing. It's equipped with NVIDIA's latest Tegra K1 processor with 2 GB of RAM, storage options of either 16 or 32 GB, a 6,700 mAh battery, an 8-megapixel camera that's capable of recording 1080p videos, and a 1.6 megapixel in the front. It's running Google's latest Android operating system, Android Lollipop, and it's going for $399 for the 16GB Wi-Fi only model and $479 for the 32GB model. The Wi-Fi plus cellular is only available in 32GB option and is going for $599. It comes in black, white, and gold. So talking a bit about the design and build quality first, Apple has always done a great job designing majority of their products with its all aluminum unibody products, and HTC in the recent years has done the same with their flagship devices like the HTC One and the One M8. However, the Nexus 9 doesn't feel as premium as we'd hope, and although it sports a metal frame and soft plastic back, it's not as nice as the iPad's all aluminum body. The iPad Air 2's design is somewhat similar to last year's model, though it's noticeably thinner and lighter than before. The sleek aluminum finish is beautiful and is far more premium looking than the Nexus 9. In terms of size and weight, the iPad Air 2 is about 1.8 millimeters thinner than the Nexus 9, while the Nexus 9 is about 12 grams lighter than the iPad Air 2. Feature-wise, they both have their individual perks. The iPad Air 2 features Touch ID, which can be used for added security, apps, in-app purchases using Apple Pay, while the Nexus 9 features the boom sound front-facing speakers, which are amazing for watching movies. Choosing between Android and iOS can really be difficult, and it really depends on how you're going to use the tablet. But hopefully this section will help you narrow down your decisions. The Nexus 9 is one of the first devices to run Android Lollipop, and I can't express on video how awesome it is. Google's new design language, Material Design, looks amazing, and it's consistent throughout the whole OS. The animations, the new features like priority mode, tap to wake, and the ability to add multiple users, yes, and pin an app are something that iOS doesn't really have. And this is a really handy feature, especially if you're constantly sharing a tablet with your family. And just as a little example, your kid wants to play a game and you don't really want to set up an account, you can simply pin an app down and he or she won't be able to get out the app unless you unpin the app. Little features like these makes the user experience more powerful than iOS, though iOS 8 has improved quite a bit as well over the years. It introduced new features like continuity to help with productivity work, widgets and notification centers, and improved Spotlight. Some we've already seen on Android for years, but features like iMessage, FaceTime, and continuity are something that I can't really let go of yet. With continuity, I can answer a call from my Mac or an iPad when my phone's out of reach, or I can start writing an email on my Mac and finish it on my iPad. Now, both the Nexus 9 and the iPad Air 2 features the same pixel resolution at 2048 by 1536, though the iPad Air 2 features a bigger screen coming at 9.7 inches. And it features an anti-reflective coating and a fully laminated display, which, according to Apple, colors are richer, contrast is greater, and images are sharper and more vivid. But putting all the specs and feature talks aside, all in all, there aren't any major difference in terms of detail with their displays. I did notice that the Nexus 9's white point has a noticeable shift towards the purple hues, while the iPad Air 2 manages to hold on to a more natural looking white, so just bear that in mind. Let's take a quick break from this video and thank our friends over at GoDaddy. It's go time, and GoDaddy's here to help you kick butt online. Start your website today with just $1.99.com and visit GoDaddy.com and enter the promo code 199techno to get your .com for just $1.99. Some limitations apply. See website for details. When it comes to performance, the Nexus 9, like I mentioned in the beginning, is sporting NVIDIA's latest 64-bit dual-core Tegra K1 processor, while the iPad Air 2 is rocking Apple's latest triple-core A8X chip with 64-bit architecture. From day-to-day use when watching videos, playing games, or browsing the web, the iPad Air 2 feels like the more solid performer. It doesn't lag as much as the Nexus 9. I'm not sure what it is, but the Nexus 9 tends to lag even when lightly browsing the web, which is a bit weird. That's not an intensive task by any means, and with these specs, that shouldn't really happen. I also did want to mention that the Nexus 9 tends to get hot when using it for more than a few hours, which is kind of ridiculous because I've never really had that problem with the iPad Air 2. In terms of battery life, the iPad Air promises up to 10 hours of battery life, while the Nexus 9 promises around 9.5 hours. In our test, we got over 10 hours of usage on both, and in some cases we got less. That'll definitely vary on how often and how heavy you use the iPad and Nexus 9. The Nexus 9 with Android Lollipop sports a battery saving mode, which helps a ton when you want to extend the battery life, while the iPad Air 2 uses the power efficiency of the A8X chip. So in terms of camera, it's pretty silly to take pictures or videos on your tablet. I mean, come on, take a look at this. Yeah, that's pretty weird. But with all jokes aside, I found that the iPad Air 2, which sports an 8-megapixel camera, takes some pretty good photos. Colors are a bit better, exposure seems to be more accurate, though the Nexus 9 has an 8-megapixel shooter as well. And it's not all that bad either. It sports an LED flash in the back, which can be helpful if you're shooting in low light conditions, but both also shoot 1080p videos, though the iPad Air 2 can film in slow motion 120 frames per second at 720p. So to wrap things up for you guys, I'd have to give it to the iPad Air 2 on this one. Even though it's $100 more than the Nexus 9, I think that extra $100 is worth it. The addition of Touch ID, the build quality, the performance, it really adds up in the long run. And I'm not saying that the Nexus 9 is a bad tablet, it's a good tablet. And the stock Android Lollipop experience is the best version we've ever seen. The Nexus 9 is an amazing tablet, but the iPad Air 2 is ultimately the better option here. Anyways, that's it for this video, guys, and as always, I'm Mark Linsanger from Techno Buffalo. I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, and if you guys would like to see more, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below. And we'd like to play video games every now and then in this office, so make sure to check us out at twitch.tv/technobuffalo, and we hope to see you guys there.